Yeah, God, we don't know how long this is gonna be. Um, yeah, I pray against suicidal thoughts. I pray against um, coping mechanisms. I pray against alcoholism. God, I pray for a movement of your spirit to come out of this. I want to see a movement of your spirit come out of this time, God. Make our church ready to open up our hands and our hearts to people. I know coming out of this, people are really going to need community, and that's what we've been about since the beginning. So I pray that you be preparing us for a time like this, God. Yeah, I pray for connections over Zoom. Yeah, for us to not give up the gathering of believers because it's so important. Amen. So, I have a few announcements. And the first one is Slack is better than Messenger. If you're on Messenger, you might want to migrate over to Slack. If you're not on either, you might want to get Slack. That's how we are like communicating with each other and know what's going on at the church. So if you're not on there and you want to be on there, let me know. The nice thing about Slack is it's everything's separated out, so you know what like the chit chat is separate from the like all church announcements and stuff like that. The other thing is we're most likely going to be heading to to Zoom instead of in person, just given what's going on with the virus spiking. But I want to take a poll, not a vote, but a poll, just to kind of see where people are at. So if you are kind of thinking, yeah, that's kind of the responsible thing to do, we should probably take this out of in-person gatherings in the foreseeable future. That's vote one. And then if you're feeling like this is really important for our collective emotional health, and I really hope this keeps happening, and that'll be vote number two. So, wait, we're doing this right now? Yeah, I'm gonna just take a quick poll. I just want to know where people are at. So,
initial poll. We can do another.
Yeah, this is not a decision. This is a poll, not a vote. Yeah, who's won? We should probably, see each other in January.
And then two is we should see each other next week.
Two is we should see each other next week. That's really fun. So we have a polling sample of one.
I will leave two.
Yeah. Raise your hand if you think like it's a hard decision and me and Deanna should make it. Okay, what about all the people who didn't vote for any of those three options? Because now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. Option one is Zoom only. Option two is in-person option. Option three is it's a hard decision. Caleb and Deanna should make it. I don't want to.
So just hold up your number too. So should we 1, 2, and 3?
So this is one and this one. Raise your hand now if you vote Zoom only.
It's okay.
Raise your hand if you think we should keep the in-person going.
Are we talking about the holidays or are we talking forever?
Right now.
Right now,
just like for now. And raise your hand if you think it's a hard decision and Caleb and Deanna should decide. You have to raise your hand if you didn't raise your hand in the others. Okay.
That being said too, well, actually, what were the rules for outdoor gatherings again? Wasn't it 5? Not outdoor.
We're not outdoor. Churches are allowed to. I'm the only one that can sing. Is basically what happens if it's in person.
Meetings, we might still occasionally try to do something outside.
I can't hear you, dear.
Are we allowed to do this starting next week?
Technically, we are because it's we're under 25% capacity in the room.
Yeah.
But we could also potentially even move upstairs, which is like a larger, but maybe not quite as big. Anyway,
I thought I
We'll
understood
figure-
that
we'll
it was
figure it out.
25% if you were a business and personal gatherings couldn't operate.
Except for religious ones are allowed to.
Religious
Yeah.
ones, they can't say no legally by the Constitution.
Okay, well, that's good to know. That's a good little poll.
My honest opinion.
We still gotta weigh like what's responsible. It's not just what we want, but we'll think about it, and maybe we will
we'll
actually.
pray about it.
yeah.
We'll pray.
And then
I have an idea. What if we just like went Zoom only for like the month of December? Because everyone's like busy. Well,
Yeah, there's like
usually we're really
holidays.
busy.
yeah,
But then the rest of it kind of has that open.
yeah. There's likely to be more restrictions coming in January when Biden's president, but actually maybe not more than what Inslee's already doing, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Yeah, I think what Caleb and I were thinking is maybe for the next few weeks, we will probably do Zoom, just to see what happens, and if it starts kind of trending down a bit or stabilizing, then we can reevaluate. So I don't think 2 months is
yeah,
necessarily the thing.
nobody wants to be the
I
super
know.
spreader. Nobody wants that. So I have a very
Oh, I have another announcement.
go for it.
Do you have are you still doing announcements?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, I was just planning on doing like a ladies Zoom hangout, thing on Wednesday evening. Does that work for most ladies Wednesday? Okay. Anyway, so I will text people, but kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, Caleb.
Okay. So where was I? Okay, yeah, I have a really good service planned for tonight, but we can always do it later if everybody's feeling down, because it's a challenging service and it's about thinking about how we can plan to do some stuff to help our homeless neighbors. And we're gonna have a brainstorming session around that. But if everybody's feeling like so tapped out because coronavirus is blowing up and everything's shutting down, then what we could do is wait and have that in a week or 2 weeks or something, and just deal with where we're at as a community tonight and pray for each other if people are feeling kind of under the weather because of what's going on. I don't want to. I feel like a lot of times I land these challenging missional notes right when people are at their lowest, and I'm kind of like, should we wait a little bit?
I'm gonna be honest with you, that whole mandate thing, like it affects you guys, it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
I can really care less because I'm never gonna follow it. I'm sorry, I'm not housed. I'm on
Yeah.
the streets. I don't
Yeah, it's
have
like
to
how
follow
do you do
it.
it, right?
Most places don't like me anyway, so I can care less.
Yeah. So here's the vote. Do we do the challenging missional note tonight? That's vote 1, or do we deal with how we're doing together as a community and hit that note later? I just want to get the emotional temperature of the room before we head out and do this. So those in favor of the challenging missional note, raise your hands.
Oh, okay.
And there we are. Okay. You guys are, I'm like changing my plans for the future and getting sad. My housemates are flying to Nashville in 2 days because they're like, everything's shut, I'm out of here. I guess maybe you guys are not getting as affected as I am, but I am sad about it. Boom. So,
Caleb's really excited he gets to give his sermon though.
you're not wrong about that.
I'm happy.
So in Luke 3, people are wondering, how can we make sure that we're the people of God still and that we're on the right side of God? And they asked John the Baptist, and he says this, and actually because I want to go to the bathroom, I'm going to let someone else read it. And then you guys can think about it for a little while, but we're not going to have much of a Bible study. I just have to go to the bathroom. Esther, will you read it?
Luke 3:11. Anyone who has 2 shirts should share with the one who has none, and anyone who has food should do the same.
Here, I'll pray for us. Did you pray yet? He didn't. I don't think he ever does. Okay. I'm gonna come over here and pray. Well, Caleb, peace. Yeah, Jesus, thank you for tonight. I pray that your spirit would rest in this place. That we would just receive from you and feel your presence. yeah, thank you for this time. Thank you for community, and yeah, just bless us, Jesus. We need you. Pray this in your name. Amen. Just think about that passage for a second. Come back.
I'm back. Yeah, like I said, we're gonna spend most of the time. We're gonna spend most of the time brainstorming, and so I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about one verse. But does someone want to take a really quick stab at like what this passage means?
To be generous.
To be generous. Yeah, and here's my main point is like you don't have to think a lot to figure out what this passage is saying. It's like pretty straightforward. And yeah, what I'm going to say here is both absolutely true and also psychologically damaging if you think about it in the wrong way. But I'm going to start with the blunt truth, which is you do not have to go into the Greek roots. You do not have to think about a bunch of metaphors to know what this is saying. It's saying if you have more than you need of something that's essential, like clothing or food, you should give it to somebody who doesn't have those things. And yeah, it's not even like if they're making healthy choices and they're trying to get out of homelessness, then you should give them a shirt, right? It just says just give it to them. And what he's saying is it's elegantly simple. It's self-vindicating. Like if you think about like what would a loving God want for his children? Like how would God want us to treat each other? It's just obvious that that's the way that he would want it. It's such a simple command. And yet I do not know of a single Christian who lives by it. I don't know any. If you ever meet somebody who's like being high and mighty about like, me and my people are the ones that actually live by the literal principles of the Bible, ask them if they have two shirts. They probably do. I don't know anybody who's living like this. And so, I think we need to respect that when John got the chance to preach, he was like, get rid of all the BS. If you have more than you need, like share it. That's what God's heart is like. And it's something that you can't argue with, and it's also something that none of us can do. And so, yeah, the blunt truth is tricky. The blunt truth is tricky because focusing on principles like this that are just morally pristine and that we know that we're never going to be able to live up to is probably more likely to create guilt than it is to create generosity. It's so tempting to get caught just like navel gazing and get caught in this loop of self-hatred. And even to have this subconscious impulse that makes you want to evade this and not have to think about stuff like this. But when John the Baptist said this, I'm pretty sure that he was not trying to guilt people. Like, if you think about who John the Baptist was, so at first pass you could be like, oh yeah, John the Baptist is just this ascetic. He's this crazy ascetic. He lived in the woods, and I'm not saying that there were hippies back then, but this guy lived in the woods. He ate nothing but locusts and honey, and he wore nothing but camel hair. So like every hippie that I've ever known is all about eating grasshoppers and living in the woods. Like that's basically what that whole show is about. But unlike most hippies or evergreen students, you actually have to take this guy seriously because Jesus said there's never been anyone who's a better person than John. And so I just got to think there is no way that what John meant for us when he said this was for us to go away sad, feeling like, oh, I can't be hardcore. I think that what he wanted us to do is to come away pumped that we have extra shirts and those could actually be useful for people, like to see the opportunity that is there, right? This is not about being an ascetic. If this were John like advocating for asceticism, then he would have said, if you have two shirts, burn them both, right? This isn't about how it makes us feel. It's not about what we do. This is about like just this basic thing of, can we have empathy? Like, can we like wake up and realize the opportunity that we have to love? We need some opportunities to love right now. We really need some opportunities to love right now. And before COVID, we had more contact with homeless folks because we were doing a thing with Salvation Army where we were making meals there. Our gatherings had food, and so it was a really good place to bring homeless folks. But when the responsible thing became to isolate, our world's constricted, and our contact really we basically lost our contact with the homeless population. And as our worlds have constricted and we've become more isolated, I think it's really important as we go into this next round of being isolated that we realize that if we just isolate and that's all we do, our lives are going to feel really meaningless. And I am desperate for ways to love people right now. Like, I really want some ways to love people. I got to hang out with a couple of people this week, and I texted both of them back after hanging out. Like, I'm sorry I got a little bit preachy when we hung out. What I texted was, I feel like that part of me, the missional part of me, is just like this engine that I really want to rev because it's been in the garage for about a year. And there is nothing worse than a preacher who has not been able to preach. There is nothing worse than an Enneagram 8 who has had no one to boss around. If you hang out with me right now, I've got life advice. I'm going to shoot at you. I have more to say right now than Tony Robbins after a year in prison. I got to talk. I got to preach. Because here's my next joke. Because if I don't get to tell people how to live their lives, I'm totally clueless about how to live mine, which is sort of true. And here's the thing. Right now, house parties, coffee shops, taking risks on that kind of stuff is really irresponsible, but it is not irresponsible to be thinking about the homeless right now. It's not. And whatever we do later, we're going to wear masks. We're going to practice, good policies, distancing and stuff like that. But it's okay. It's okay for us to take a few risks right now for people who lost their job, lost their home, and are moving their families into tents. That's okay. And now is as good a time as any to look at our possessions and privileges as opportunities to love. So 1 John 3 says this: this is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and our sisters. If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in them? How can the love of God be in them? So 2 principles. 1, if you want to get over yourself, so that instead of passages like this making you feel guilty, you see them as opportunities. If you want to get in that headspace, you can't just yell at yourself. You can't just be like, oh, I got to be a better person. Because guilt doesn't beget generosity. Generosity begets generosity. And luckily, we have the most generous God that you could possibly have. Like, all the generosity that we need is in God. And this passage tells you the way to do it. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us. And then what's going to happen? When we see people with material possessions and a brother and sister in need, our hearts are going to turn towards them. Get yourself in the headspace of grace. If you do that, new things are going to be possible that aren't possible right now. And second, in the middle of verse 17, it says what's translated as has no pity on them. It's actually, what it literally says is shuts up his bowels. And this isn't about pooping. This is like ancient Hebrews thought that your guts and your bowels and all this stuff in here was the seat of the emotional centers of our bodies. And so what it's saying is, if you see someone like that and you shut off your heart towards them, you shut off your heart. I got a story that I want to share. We used to take college students to Calcutta in the summers to work with NGOs there. And on my first trip there, within hours of landing, I had what was my first of many to come anxiety attacks, panic attack. So I started hyperventilating, my vision constricted, where I could only see through little pinholes because all the blood was rushing out of my eyes and into the rest of my body because I was in like fight or flight. I thought I was dying. It was as bad of a thing as I've ever experienced. It was horrible. And it came because of a combination of how assaulting all the sights and smells and everything of the city were to my Western, mind, because of how shocking the poverty of just miles and miles of seeing people who live in tarps. It's not a few homeless people, it's a city of homeless people. And then that on top of how guilty all that made me feel, it just cracked me. And I started having anxiety attacks that became a problem for the next couple of years. And so when I came back, because we took students here on trips and Deanna was really committed to it and she kept going back. And so I was like, I got to go back. So when I went back, I had to practice shutting off my heart, because the reality was I couldn't just like be feeling everything. I had to get to my job during the day. So I had to learn how to step over emaciated bodies. And I had to learn how to peel kids that were begging off of my legs and just not feel it, just shut my heart off. And that's a coping mechanism that you need sometimes. It's a coping mechanism that we're probably using a lot right now as the homeless population is blooming in Seattle right now. But one of the frames that we always gave our students to think about while they were in Calcutta is we always said, like, look for iconic moments. These moments where God's calling out to you and they're vivid and memorable, and they're times that God's saying something to you. So one of these days I was walking along and I felt like God said, okay, you can't look at this whole city, but look at this one person. Just look at this one person. And I looked at this guy. He was a bicycle rickshaw driver. And bicycle rickshaws, you've probably seen them around. They're a fun way to bar hop in Ballard. They're kind of taking off around the bars down in Ballard. But in Calcutta, they are a step towards death, because you get paid so little to drive these things around, and it takes so many calories to bike around like that it's really debatable whether you're making enough money to fund the calories that your body needs to actually drive these things around. And so, what?
They're not nice bikes.
They're not nice bikes. They're not like the cute ones that have the lights and stuff. Like, actually, some of them were tricked out. But basically, if you saw an older person doing this, for a younger person, it could be a step on the pathway to something else in life. But for the older guys, like, it was just really clear that their bodies were wasting away. And in Calcutta, this is just like a middle-class profession. It's like what a lot of people do. And actually beneath that is the people who do the carry ones, which are supposed to be illegal, but people are still doing it. And those guys, I could never bring myself to do that because they're just so emaciated, and how are you going to have them literally walk and carry you? So anyways, I get off the train, and I don't know why, but it was like an emotional spotlight just fell on this one guy, and I felt like God was saying, yeah, you can't take in the whole city, so just like look at this one person. And I don't think there was anything special about him. I think could have been anyone, but I was just like, I must ride in your rickshaw. And I had nowhere that I needed to go, so I made up a destination, and I got on his rickshaw. And I can still see it. I can totally still see it. Leaving the station, and the station lights, bright station lights going dim, and just going into these bumpy residential slum, and watching his body moving back and forth, just shifting, trying to pull my big old American body. And I remember looking at his shirt, and it was this plaid, just like sweaty, sweat-stained, sun-bleached plaid shirt. And I can still see the mold that was growing around the corners of his back. There's mold. Because he only had one shirt, because he was working all the time so much that he was growing mold. He was growing mold on his back. In America, we like to say we earned the money that we have. The government better not take it from me. We have not earned our money like that. Yeah, and it felt so unfair to be looking at that, and I started thinking about how we're brothers in the same family, how God loves us both equally. And I was just hit by how unfair it was. I was this big old strong person being pulled along by this other guy, weighed half as much as I did. How I got to, how we live these parallel lives in the same world at the same time, where I'm over here watching the best TV, eating the best food, going to school, packing my brain, getting all these opportunities, flying around the world, and feeling like I'm like a kind of a Spartan, kind of like ascetic kind of person. At the same time as he's growing up in a tarp and he's pedaling for less than it takes to support his body. And I was beginning to see what God always sees. And I was beginning to feel what God always feels. And I was crying. And I was just sorting through my heart and my head, like trying to make sense of the world. And if at that moment, if I could have given him my shirt, I would have. If I could have given that guy my shirt, I would have. So we got to my made up destination. He got his bike, and I tried to hide my tears real quick because that's weird. And I did this quick calculation thinking like, what's the absolute most that I could give to him without it being demeaning? Because it can be especially like harmful because this is like the only interaction that he's probably ever going to have with a white person. And if his image of what it means to be American is like, I can just ching, doesn't matter. Like that's not helping anything. But I just was like, I want to give him everything. Like, so I decided that 40 rupees was the most I could give without it being weird. So I gave him that, which amounts to $1. And he was happy about it. He was pumped. I was like, shoot, should have given him more. And he rode off. And as he left, I felt like I was saying goodbye to this like iconic moment. Like it was leaving, I knew already, like this is my iconic moment. And yeah, I was wondering what he was thinking when he rode away. Like, for him, it's really strange to have a white person in this neighborhood of Calcutta. So it definitely stood out. It was a weird thing for him. And for me, I was like barely holding on to my emotions. I was just struggling to make sense of the world. And I just felt like life was so like just out of balance. Like the fact that I wanted to help and my way of helping was to have him cart around my massive, twice the size of him, like body like a king. And then the best I could do in terms of generosity is to give him what amounted to $1. And that was like this exorbitant tip. I was just like, why would God do a world that is this out of balance, where the scales are tipped this out of balance? God is not the one doing it. We are. We've got enough coats. We got enough food. God's not the one doing it. We are. And the most important thing is like, if you act like that, how could you have the love of God in you? Don't you want the love of God in you? Don't you want God to open up your eyes to really see people, to see how equal you are, to see your possessions as a gift instead of as this guilty burden? Don't you want to see things that way? We need that. We need some opportunities to love right now. And while we've been isolating, homelessness has not been getting better in this city. Like, more people are out there. Winter's coming. There's going to be people who literally are going to need. Winter's already here, man. Winter's here. Winter was here about a week and a half ago.
Dude, so I've gotten a list of everyone who's passed away, and it's only what, November. So last week there was 85 youth froze in Seattle. About 65 adults froze in Seattle, and that's just this year. That was last week. I'm not looking forward to what this week's gonna be. So yeah, like winter's already here.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with this for 16 years. I'll tell you right now, it's not what people think it is. You know, it's definitely not. So yeah, winter's already here. It's a bad one too. Promise that one's a bad one this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's already a lot colder than normal. Yeah, we've got this literal passage, we've got this literal problem in our city. There's people who are gonna literally need coats. So we're gonna brainstorm, we're gonna try to think of what are some creative and just like really loving ways that we could serve our homeless neighbors over the next couple of months.
Feel free to ask questions because I'm happy to help with this.
Yeah, Raven's gonna help out a little bit. He knows what it's like, and so if we have an idea that's like, no, people don't actually need that, this service already does it, we don't have to do those. But yeah, here's what it is: we need the love of God in our hearts really bad right now. We need that, and if we go with our eyes open, just like awake and ready to make relational connections, because those are so important, that's going to be a win for everyone involved. So. Whiteboard time. What are we gonna do? First, we'll just throw out a bunch of ideas, and then we'll go back and pick a few of our favorite, and then I'm gonna let people take charge of a few, maybe between probably 2 or 3 projects that we're gonna try to do together, depending on what we come up with. I'm not gonna spearhead these. You guys are.
Pray for a sec.
Yeah, let's pray. Go for it, dear.
Okay. Just because I feel like you've said a lot of things, like big things. So, yeah, Jesus, thank you that you have blessed a lot of us in this room. You've blessed all of us. I pray that we would see the things in our life not as things that we've solely earned, but things that you have given us. And so I pray that you would just show us, like, Jesus, it's just really easy to be selfish and to have our eyes focused on us, or to think down the line and respond in fear of like scarcity. I just pray that we would come to see more and more and more that you are a God of abundance. And we need you to help us to love, and that when we choose to give of our stuff, that like really beautiful things happen in our hearts that are so much better than a new pair of pants or like whatever the objects that we collect. Like, yeah, the things that you're doing in our heart and our mind is so much better, Jesus. So I pray that you would forgive us for ways that we have held on to stuff. And I just pray that you would be with us as we come up with ideas, and that we would hold all of these loosely, and that you would just be guiding us. And again, like, I pray against any feelings of guilt. Thank you that you just really love us, and your mercies are new each morning. And yeah, that you just have really good things for us as we like walk in your steps and try to like live more generously. So thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. It's good. So, ideas. Go.
What about the families that are like living in their cars? I feel like that would be a focus, like bringing gas or battery chargers, or something just to keep it running, keep their vehicles running. Oil, like just like a care package of something for their vehicles.
Totally.
That actually would be cool.
Yeah. Because I'm sure a lot of, I don't know exactly where they're saying that I know it's probably a big.
That's actually a big issue, actually. People who do live in their cars, I know about 17 people who their car doesn't work because they have no gas or battery.
Yeah.
And so like, and most places that give out food or whatever, they're not gonna help with that.
Right.
I promise you, they just, nope. So that would be a good idea.
Yeah. Online people, can we hear you?
I feel like there's a
Can
lot
you-
of people that are.
Hi.
Can you say something?
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, down by Golden Gardens. Oh, yeah. Golden Gardens.
Oh, and everybody in here, try to shout as much as you can for this little mic. So, because I want people online to feel involved, you know?
Yeah, what was that, Deanna?
There's lots of people, I think, that are living in their cars over by Green Lake and Golden Gardens.
I had a VA in Beacon Hill too.
Oh,
Beacon
yeah.
Hill, North Cape,
A lot of those guys, like,
Lake City.
going through treatment though.
It used, since COVID, there's probably 10 times more people there than there was before, so I'd imagine that some people are just finding a spot to stay. Yeah. A lot of tents too.
Is it weird to offer to wash people's clothes?
Actually, no, because I'm gonna say this right now. A lot of people don't realize that for most homeless people to wash clothes, it's almost impossible. Laundromats either cost a lot of money that we don't have, or they don't want us in there. And so I know that the place downtown that was doing laundry just shut down for anyone because of the whole COVID. So like doing laundry for someone would be awesome. So
Would it be ideal to do a money pool just because it sounds like it, like with the people who are living in their cars who need gas and replacing battery, it kind of makes sense to offer them money so they can go get their gas, and then they kind of do get to choose what they want to do with their money. Because I've read a few articles about like charity and like how sometimes handouts, sometimes giving money is better because the person who has the money gets to decide what they really need with it. So
yes,
I've
just
heard the opposite though.
well, it's hit and miss. It's hit and miss. I'll tell you right now, it's hit and miss because if you're gonna do straight cash, I'd be careful. If you do a gift card, like those Visa gift cards,
Yeah.
normally that's a lot better idea.
Oh, yeah.
Only because, like, I'll tell you right now, if you give just straight cash to a lot of people, even though they need it, you gotta understand most people on the streets are addicts, unfortunately, and so it's that situation. There's a
Yeah.
very few of people like me who's clean, actually trying to do stuff.
I think I'm gonna do, since we're gonna probably have a church fund that gives towards this, we'll only do supplies from the church fund.
Yeah.
But if you're out and you're meeting somebody and you trust them and you want to give some of your cash to them, then that's fine.
What I this old friend of ours said something that I felt was really helpful. Where like in a situation, if someone's asking for money, just like quickly pray and ask Jesus. You know, like the Holy Spirit is real, so we can ask God if sometimes it's okay to give money. You know what I mean? And sometimes maybe you don't feel led that way, but sometimes it's okay, and it's also okay if they do something bad with it. If you feel like that's just what Jesus wants you to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Two things that
I have a thought to add to that. Oh, JK.
Go for it. Go. You got a Kanae, and then Esther's next.
Oh, Esther. Okay, so I love the idea of like gift cards, like especially depending on where we're giving them, but like for people in Northgate and Raven, I hear your voice in the room, so you can say if you think this is helpful, but like doing like a Target card so that, because it's like right there. I live right down the street from Northgate, so I'm just thinking about what would be good. I also give money to homeless people because God changed something in my heart around that, where God basically just told me like, excuse me, why are you judging it was just a personal thing. It doesn't have to be the way everybody does it. But I was like, oh, I'm not going to give them money because of all these reasons. And God just like checked me and was like, no, you don't get to make those decisions. If you have money in your pocket and someone's in front of you and they need money, basically you got to give it up. So that was my own journey with it. But I love the idea of doing a gift card so that it's kind of meeting both of those things. And obviously Target has almost everything. So food.
Gift cards like that, Target gift cards, Safeway, QF, those are helpful. Like those are probably some of the biggest things people would want to have. So they can go and buy some food, go and buy stuff. You know, those are useful.
Yeah.
Like no joke, they are.
Yeah. Also, like Raven was asking for a heater.
You know, but yeah, I'll tell you right now, it's bad out there.
Yeah, because I bet you if we bought a bunch of heaters and went around Green Lake and asked if anybody wants those, people would want those right now.
You know what I was thinking? Instead of Costco, you can buy those little things, the toe warmers and hand warmers.
Those are
or
useful.
whatever.
Those are useful.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't
Oh.
gonna be able to plug a
But-
heater in.
No,
Esther
hey,
has something
Jason,
to
are you still here? He's going to the bathroom.
Esther
He
has-
bought
There's actually some that they have now that are.
it's propane. Yeah.
Yeah, propane.
Okay.
Esther had something like that.
What's up?
There's two things that come to mind. One, I feel like since most of us have vehicles, like when we're driving somewhere, whether it's like a pit stop or like a road trip, so we want to get out and have some fresh air. I think it's a good idea to like create several care packages we can hand out when we see folks on the street.
Yeah.
Like the care packages should include like a gift card, 1 to 2, and like socks, scarves, hats, masks, because it's cold too. Because people are gonna be freezing. And I feel like we don't see a lot of families in homelessness in Seattle, but they also have kids too. So you want to consider like signs for children as well. But I think the essentials for this cold season are like what's gonna keep them warm. You could also include like little key things, you know, that you put in your pockets for your hand. Like
So
inside
during the
your
winter,
shoes.
there's 4 things that are considered gold. Socks, automatically, that's gold. Hot hands or hot feet, whatever you want to call them, that's gold. You know, jackets, stuff like that is gold. The biggest gold thing on the streets during the winter, and a lot of you guys probably don't think about this, is actual heat. Whether it's a heater buddy, a propane grill, something like that they can cook or what, those are like beyond gold. You know,
How much was that heater buddy thing that you bought, Jason?
$150.
$150.
there's cheaper ones even in that.
That was the big one though. There's other ones that are like 65.
Yeah.
Plus the propane tank. Plus there's like a cable that was like $10.
You know, yeah, I mean, like, you know, there's even ones that like are propane grills, the little small single burners, those work good.
So Raven, would it be helpful to buy those little tiny propane fillers, like at Fred Meyer, you know, like the tank?
The green
small
tank?
ones that you can like screw on to the,
Those are useful, yeah.
that's helpful.
I mean, those are what most things take. And so the propane is a goal doing no matter what, but that's how most people cook
Yeah.
and everything. So propane is always useful.
Depends on if you want to go
Another
deep or wide. Like if you want to distribute a few that are nicer versus a bunch of them.
Yeah.
More temporary.
Yeah.
The second thing I wanted to mention was, as we were talking about like all these like tangible things, like tangible specific things we can gather, like we obviously want to distribute them, but also like the other variable in that is everybody has varying levels of safety as to how they want to interact with
Yeah,
people outside of their 5 groups.
I am happy to help with that.
Yeah,
I
and
know
so like
have
something
places.
that came to mind for me is like there are plenty of people, luckily, who are doing this who have done this for a while. Like a lot of nonprofits, like
Or
the
Operation
Seattle
Rescue,
Blue Cross
yeah.
Coalition, they have a
Yeah.
search and rescue team. I don't know what their operations look like right now because of COVID. I don't know how. I'm sure
Yeah.
they're really active still. just
So-
like-
I looked up the UGM site, and they're not accepting volunteers at their main site, but they will take people for search and rescue. But when I was thinking about that, I was kind of like, given that search and rescue happens in a van and stuff, like maybe it would just be better. I mean,
Also,
we can do the same
Yeah.
thing they do, which is go around.
Oh, but
No,
if we want to bring stuff for them to distribute.
We can get
Yeah.
But what I was thinking though, and I don't know what you guys think, but is it might be cool if those of us who feel comfortable forming connections with homeless folks be the ones that deliver the stuff, and then others that don't can help fund it. You know?
The only thing that the reason why I suggested that is with like one, like I think that there is a special level of training that they provide.
Yeah.
Because it's COVID right now. And so it's kind of like, how do you do this safely? How do you do this in a way where you're respectful and involved?
Yeah.
And where you're not, I don't know, like it's a new thing for a lot of people.
So, like, they don't really offer much training, actually, they don't. The thing though, I will say about places like UGM and everything, I prefer not to deal with UGM myself, only because a lot of the volunteers there are not really okay with handing stuff out. They're kind of like snobby and stuff. There is some places that are great. If you guys want to do this publicly or you guys want to be out there, I'm happy to teach you guys how to enter a camp correctly and how to actually approach people, because doing it correctly will be safer than doing it incorrectly.
Exactly, and I think that's the important key, like
So, yeah.
learning how to, because you're entering into somebody's home.
Yep.
You know, like, into somebody's space, we can't act like a savior
Well,
either.
Yeah, and on the streets, we have our own type of code that we follow that's way different than your guys's. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to help with that.
There's a church, a small church group, a little bit bigger than this, that operates. They're called Reach, and they mostly do stuff with various homeless camps.
I've never dealt with them, but I know of them.
I think they operate out of Ballard. I don't remember which camps they go to the most.
I've never dealt with them, but I know of Reach.
Yeah, they do a lot of food. They hand out supplies when they have some, and they also collect donations every week and then go to where they're needed. So if you want to, I could give you a contact there. And
Yeah.
They already have most of these things going and connections with homeless people, and they have a steady stream of supplies that they just need help to get out.
You know, what's another big thing that these places need are diapers.
Oh, yeah.
Because I work with a lot of, women who are at risk right now, and I just went into a center in Des Moines just the other day, and all the women that were coming to get the free stuff were getting like the size 5 diapers. And then the older women that were helping were saying that even though they have these small little toddlers, they get the size 5s because it lasts longer, because they can actually pee, and it'll contain more, which is it's terrible. But I had no idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was thinking kid stuff, animal stuff I would recommend, because you'd be surprised how many people have animals.
yeah.
So dog food, cat food, honestly.
And stuff.
Yeah, because most places that was giving out the animal food, they don't do it no more. So.
Yeah, I got a whole list that UGM has.
Hey, I have a
Go
you guys
ahead.
hear me?
Yeah. Go for it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I don't know if this was said. I think I heard Raven say that jackets are one of the gold items. Is that true, Raven?
We gotta get
Yes.
jackets on there.
Yes, gotta get coats.
Literal
Make sure though
jackets.
the jackets actually have pockets that are deep pockets, not these ones that you put stuff in and they fall out though. That's the biggest issue. People get
Big
jackets
pockets.
and
Okay,
Yeah, you're carrying stuff around all day.
yep.
That's good.
I have a thought that you guys still hear me? I can't tell.
Yeah. You're here, man.
Okay, I think you can. I have such bad internet right now, so that plus the noises in the room. Anyways,
Yeah.
I was thinking to also do like a jacket drive kind of thing, because I'm guessing many of us, not all of us, but many of us maybe even have some jackets that we're ready to part with. Plus, we could obviously purchase some new jackets, but I know I have like, maybe I don't know, but the point is maybe we can jacket drive.
Yeah, I'm gonna circle that one because it is on point for what John the Baptist did say to us.
And it's cold.
Yeah. Long
Yeah, that's
johns.
cool.
Long johns would be useful.
Yeah.
What about like blankets? Just like fleece blankets.
Blankets are yes, as long as they're not like the really weird, crappy ones that look good, but they're like, for example, like the UGM blankets. Those are gel blankets. Those actually trigger a lot of people. So like just a nice, good, thick blanket, regular, that's not what you would get in jail would be great.
Okay.
You know, so.
What about like, I think they're called bivy sacks or like it's like a, I'm trying to think of the material that it is, that,
The shiny
yeah,
stuff that,
yeah, is
the
that,
flaxseed.
is that?
Oh, the little silver blankets.
Yeah.
They're useful for the tent, not to actually sleep
Well,
with.
because I'm wondering with blankets, like a lot of I live downtown, most of the homeless people I interact with, they move every day. So are blankets really useful? I guess it depends.
Yeah, so blankets are still useful. I've been swept, I don't know how many times. I'll tell you right now. But like those silver blankets are actually good for the tent to stay warm. We actually put them in between the rain fly and the tent itself.
Okay.
That's how we stay warm. But like as far as like sleeping, they rip easy. They're not that great, but they're good for the tent.
Okay.
So
Okay, I'm gonna try. Let's go into a creative space for a second. Just see if there's any like wild ideas that are off the map. But who knows?
this would be entertaining.
Let's just spend 3 minutes.
I don't have a crazy idea.
Okay, save it for non-crazy time. Wait. You don't forget the idea. Can you remember it? Okay, there's no way. Okay, say it.
Oh shoot. Oh no, I got it. Okay, so when it comes to like jackets, gloves, like scarves, all those things, I think a fun way for us to also like participate is when like we should like allocate funds to go out and like grab those things, but also I think we should look within our own closets because it's always a good idea to downsize, practicing that, and like asking ourselves like we have a lot.
Yeah.
Like, do we really need this? And also like being mindful of like we don't want to just throw stuff away because we don't want it's trash. Like we want to be mindful of giving good things from like what we have. Because I think like that's also a really beautiful way to say like I'm sharing with my neighbor. You can always like not always, but like a lot of us we can just like go out and buy something and say like here you go. But what does it look like to sharing what we already have?
Yeah,
So I think like that's a good idea.
definitely. I love that.
I like it.
And that is a bit of a more creative one.
Sometimes it means more a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I really like this jacket,
Yeah.
but I want to love somebody, so I'm gonna like part with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question for Raven? What do you feel like out of all these ideas would be most helpful for like your community?
Oh man. I mean, honestly, most of those are pretty decent. I think
But if we had to just pick one,
that's
like, what's the number one?
I'm pretty decent. So I think
Yeah.
honestly, probably one of the biggest things I can think of is probably like, you know, the jackets and the care packages, stuff like that.
Yeah. So we will definitely do those. I'm seeing a few things emerge. Like there's gonna be somebody who's putting together supplies and care packages. Someone's gonna be in charge of that. Someone's gonna be in charge of getting together volunteers to distribute, and
Well,
then
with the care packages,
collecting money for it. We'll probably have Jason build a link on the website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go to openhomechurch.org /give, whatever, click the Give tab. And then there's a drop down for homelessness fund.
Oh, it's already there.
And if anyone actually wants to learn how to do it, I'm happy to teach you guys how to do it so you guys do not do it.
Also, if someone wants to sign up for like putting together the care packages, then other people could maybe just like if you wanted to buy something on Amazon, you could just ship it straight to that person's house rather than trying to like donate, and then it'd be like more direct and straightforward. Like I could just ship a couple heating buddies to whoever's.
also with the care packages, if we just make them like kind of small, like hats, socks, gift cards, then that's something that we can put in our cars.
Yeah.
Which is nice because there's so many times where I'm like driving by someone and I don't have cash and I have nothing to give.
Yep.
And so
Yeah, you
we
don't
have
want
it in our
the
cars.
care packages. I'll tell you right now, most people don't realize you don't want a care package that's like huge for one person. I do get those and I find them annoying because it's so much stuff that's like, okay, I'm one person. I don't need 16 of these things. You know, there's enough for a night or two, not 3 whole months.
Okay.
What about like bags and stuff like a backpack? Or
So,
like those-
I'm gonna tell you right now, backpacks, duffel bags, as long as they're decent quality, They don't have to be like top of the line, but decent quality, yes. Yes. Because I'll tell you right now, the winter is when most bags get destroyed by the weather. I've gone through probably 7 bags within 2 weeks already. And that's just the weather. So
So like if we're getting bags or backpacks, like what are we looking for?
so I recommend when it comes to backpacks and stuff like that, try to figure out if it's a camping type backpack. You know, it doesn't have to be a hiking big old REI. Like those are great, but they're not cheap. You know, just something that's gonna handle the weather, something that's gonna be decent. I mean, you know, it's something that's gonna have, like, some of us have electronics. So a place to put a laptop or to put a portable charger, you know, stuff like that would be great. You know, don't want it to be so crappy that like it gets snagged on a thorn bush and it rips. I've had those bags and they suck.
Yeah.
You know, something that they can put clothing in to change into or what. You know, that's the same space pretty much, but not so much that they can't carry enough. So.
Okay, so we've
Wait,
got
I have
3.
one more question, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Caleb. When I do care packages, I never know what food as non-perishable, like, what is,
Okay.
I know that's a broad question.
No, that's not. So one thing I recommend don't give those little chews or little grain bars. We're not gonna eat
I've
them.
screwed so many people over.
We are not gonna eat them. We're gonna give those to like dogs or rats. I'm not kidding.
Like granola
Yeah.
bars?
No
You'd be surprised
grain
how many of those everyone gets all the time.
Yeah.
I've been doing 6 boxes once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I recommend stuff like, you know, jerky,
Yeah.
those little meat and cheese sticks, you know, canned fruits that you can pull the tab, you know, pudding, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you're gonna make a sandwich, don't do peanut butter and jelly. Don't do just ham and cheese. Like, we get those from like UGM, unfortunately. Like, they're nasty.
Yeah.
You get sick of them after like 3-4 months.
What's a good sandwich?
A good sandwich is something that's like not what you're gonna normally do. Like something you would actually enjoy. Think of if you're gonna actually eat something.
I mean, I do like a PBJ.
Yeah, try eating that 5 times a week
Yeah.
for years and years and years. You know,
Something creative.
yeah, you know, something that's actually gonna be decent. You know, doesn't have to be a Subway type deal, but something unique that's gonna be nice. You know.
And low on sodium, because most of the food people hand out are usually they like to hand out things that last a long time, but then it's
The
like
high in sodium is no good.
one meal is 150% of the sodium for the week, and then you're actually screwing people's insides over by
Yep.
giving them.
Also, I recommend don't give those little like Benny sausages or whatever. Yeah, don't give those because like most times we're not gonna be able to eat them because a lot of times they're expired when people give them to us. And so always check the date, even though it's in a can, you still want to check the date.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's more helpful to get food that is maybe gonna last longer, or like nice food that you can have that day?
It varies. It varies from camp to camp. For me, like
Let's err on the side of nice food you can eat that day.
huh?
Okay, so we're getting into the creative.
Also, a little
Which is
tip.
what if we brought some bomb food?
So here's a little tip. You guys can shop at the stores all you want. No more. Most homeless people, if we have food stamps, yes. If we don't, we dumpster dive. And I'm gonna tell you right now, dumpster diving, I have found some great food, don't get me wrong. I've also nearly gone to jail for it. Because it is illegal. It's highly illegal, especially in Seattle. That's why I do it kind of. Good food. But yeah, if you guys think about that, you know, a decent meal that like you guys would eat, you'd be surprised how many homeless people don't get that. Most of us are stuck with either food that we got from the dumpster, unfortunately McDonald's, which don't do our dicks either. Don't. Ugh, no. But like actual meals like KFC would be great. You know, something that's not common among homeless people. I'll tell you right now, that's how you get them to actually like you a lot more and be protective of you is actual decent food. It's not same old, same old.
Cool. Can we do 2 minutes of creative ideas?
Great.
What's a example of creative?
I don't know. Like a puppet show. I don't know.
I have an idea.
What?
Kind of random. If we could find somewhere where we could get like a couple, like borrow someone's washer and dryer, like hook it up somewhere and
Ooh.
have like a big like.
Washer dryer party.
Yeah, let's like wash your clothes, like get a couple sets.
That'd
and
be,
then just- and then
that'd be
like
cool.
spread the word.
Don't know how that would work, but that would be cool.
Because you don't want.
This is creative though.
This is creative.
There's
no bad ideas right now.
I'm saying that we want to. I don't know how that would work.
What?
Not using it. I'm talking
Ooh, I
about
got one. I got one. I got one. Like pool ideas for like labor and employment.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people are trying to actually get jobs, or even like yard work or whatever.
Yeah, yard work.
When you're
I mean-
looking for work, where do you go?
Well, some people go to Home Depot.
Yeah.
Some people try that labor ready crap, which I say crap because it does not really work. You
Labor
know,
what crap?
labor ready, so day labor.
Is that like?
And they basically you fill out
Oh,
paperwork
okay, yeah.
and you hope to get it done. I
Once
guess that's what you know.
once COVID settles down, I would really like to have like a bring the meal to the camp like thing we do regularly, where it's like once a month at first Monday of the month or whatever, we always bring a big meal for a big
That'd be
camp
cool.
and just everyone can come and eat it.
That'd be cool.
Like you said, just buy a bunch of the KFC little
Yeah.
meal things at the box.
But yeah, I mean, like some people actually make stuff to sell. That's what I do. I make stuff and I sell it. That's how I make my money.
Reach does that every week.
Oh, that's cool.
Who does?
Reach. And they're still doing that now.
They are.
Yeah, they're not slowing down for COVID as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
So
people
it's,
still
But they're like
it's
one
on
of
your own risk if you go with Reach, but they are doing food.
There's only like one. They're probably the only one who's doing it because I don't know anyone who's actually doing it besides that.
Yeah, so they're a small enough group that they're
Talking about,
going with it. So
I didn't hear that.
they probably don't join.
You didn't hear that, Kenneth? The idea is to bring food to camps, like a big meal. It is awesome.
But that one after is what is continuing? You said something. Someone
Reach.
said something
Oh,
There's
is
a group
continuing
of
to go
Christians, there's a group of Christians called Reach, REACH, and we're gonna talk to them, see what's going on.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got another idea.
Boom.
Um,
Seth's got these ideas.
Coat launch, I've done this a couple times. We could pick a park, COVID, bring all of our coats and have them all come, everybody show up, get a coat, get a hot drink.
That'd be cool.
That would be something easy to do at,
Anywhere.
Green Lake or
Like
Park
outdoor.
Gardens.
We did it at South Lake Union for a few years.
What
Oh,
was
yeah.
it? Coat launch?
We
We just
did
bring
it.
coats and you can have coffee,
That'd be cool.
like a craft coffee
Coats
and.
and coffee.
You can get
Coats
like
and
a
coffee.
coat, curry sauce.
Having them all in one place that you can actually pick.
Yeah.
Too. It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
like
you get like
I
a
have this
wrap
one coat.
Out, and then you put all the coats.
Drones.
Yeah.
Once we beat Jeff Bezos to the punch, we just deliver care packages all over the city with drones.
I thought you were talking about giving drones. I'm like, no,
It's
no,
like
no.
it's like the stork. It's like dropping just care
And
packages
actually, legally, you couldn't. Actually, legally, you
out of the
couldn't.
sky.
Actually, you wouldn't legally
Okay.
be able to.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna wrap this up, but we're gonna make this practical because if we leave right now, we got a bunch of ideas on a whiteboard. We have no actual plans. So what we're gonna do is we're going to pick. We're gonna pick one of these two ideas, and we're gonna do these three. I just decided that's what we're gonna do. Because let's be real, that's basically what it was. So,
Do you get that code idea though? at some point?
okay. We're gonna vote on bring a meal to a camp or coats and coffee.
Why can't we do both?
I think both, yeah.
Just this month right now. Like we can do more later, but let's plan one event. You know what I mean?
This month's last.
Let's do coats.
Coats and coffee. Okay.
And I'll make
Coats
a
and
lot of
coffee.
cookies. I make really good cookies.
That right there, that's yeah.
All right. So for each of these, here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna give one person is gonna be the spearhead who's in charge of making it happen, and then we're gonna get 3 other people who are their main volunteers. You might want to invite more people from the church. Like for Coats and Coffee, we can have a lot of people, but I want to make sure that we got at least 4 people that are gonna make sure it happens. So who wants to be the lead person in Coats and Coffee? No, don't nominate someone else.
Charlie's trying to get himself over there.
You want to do it, Kyle?
I can do it. I want to understand. I missed a little bit of what it was. Now I have to do it,
Cool.
whatever it is.
Are you on Slack? Because you're gonna need it. Okay. I'll get you.
Hey, guys.
Okay. Who wants to help Kyle? Kyle's spearheading. Who wants to help him?
Oh, no, Kyle. So many.
Wow.
Sweet.
And like I said, if you guys want,
We might have to shuffle around.
I want to be on the team.
if you guys want
Okay.
to approach people,
This is a limit 3. We're gonna limit this to 3, and then everyone can come. But it's like we're.
Caleb, we do 2 events. We have so many. 2 teams. Yeah. Cook Coffee is Kyle's group, and then someone else.
Oh, but I like.
Well, we have these. We're still gonna make the supplies for delivery.
Okay, so maybe those people can.
How many things are you putting up?
So we're gonna make car care packages that you can give out. So we make those as a church, probably on a Sunday night. We write little notes. But we need someone to be in charge of buying the supplies for the car care packages. And then we're gonna gather a bunch of supplies that we can just go to camps with and say, hey, what's up? Like build a relationship. What do you need? We've got a car full of junk right now. We got anything you want. We got it in our car right now.
saying that, man. Just saying that. No subsidy.
Someone will bag them, get them ready, and then we all put them in our cars. Do you see what I mean?
Wouldn't it be good to go out like 3 people together as friends and have a lot of stuff in one car rather than everybody has a few things?
I think so.
I think it'd be fun to do it together. And
Just
'cause
go
there's,
in a car.
well, not everybody has to go into the car.
I feel like I could do it both ways, like yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay, this is.
Let's just have someone in charge of more areas for packages.
Okay. We got our care packages that are for individuals, and then we have our event, which is we're gonna go to camps together. So we got these 2 different things.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so let's just get who's in charge of these things first, and then everybody who wants to do something, we'll get like 3 people for each of the things. Okay. So who wants to be in charge of buying the supplies to have a Sunday gathering where we create car care packages that everyone can take home?
But the buying, like, that's where, like, people who want to can donate to the homelessness fund.
Yeah,
That
money
person-
flow is Jason's in charge of that.
Yeah.
So getting money to do this
So
stuff,
we'll,
Jason's
like,
in charge.
yeah, you'll get money from the fund and then buy the stuff.
Yes. So this person is going to buy the
Not like
supplies,
renting all the-
and they're not fronting all the money. They're getting it from the church fund.
Right.
So they're just buying the supplies, they're not actually making, are we getting together?
We'll get together and do it as a church service. Oh, you're right. I don't know if either we'll get together as a church service to do it, or we'll have to have people come and get them from that person's house.
So
Depending on what we do with COVID.
somebody's in charge of the haircut. We'll do that.
Awesome.
Okay. Hitting. Okay. So a delivery event where we come with a car full of stuff and we go and ask people, what do you want? We've got a bunch of stuff in our car.
I don't know if I like that one.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
So that's a drop off.
It's a drop off. It's
What
like
that means
Operation
is-
Rescue, what UGM does, where basically we go to homeless encampments and say, hey, is there anything you guys need? Food, coats, dental stuff. Like we've got a bunch of stuff and we
Yeah.
want to give it to you.
It's basically doing a drop off, which, like I said,
Yeah, let's call it drop off.
that's basically what it is, a drop off, which, again, if you want, whoever's gonna do that, let me know. I'm happy to show you guys how to approach so you guys don't have issues.
So who wants to head up the drop off?
I'm confused why there's a distinction between a drop off and then the care packages. Can't we just drop off the care packages?
So
Well-
a drop off is normally more stuff.
Okay.
So this is so the care packages are stuff anybody would want no matter what. So that when you're in your car, you can give it to somebody.
Right.
The drop off is show up and like, what do you need? Do you need a jacket? We have a jacket. Do you need a blanket? We have a blanket. Does that make sense?
Well, But is that one of those things, do we ask them and then go get it and then come back?
Sure, yeah, like
I
park
mean,
close to the
That's
camp.
one way of doing it. Just, if you're gonna do it, I recommend don't just drop it off and leave.
Or we could go to camps with a bunch of the stuff and ask them if they wanted it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm talking about.
That's probably the smartest thing, Caleb, is actually show up with the stuff and say, hey, we have this.
Yeah.
Take what you need.
So yeah, just to make it clear, like we're not gonna make car care packages with coats in them. That would be weird.
Don't.
Like this is just a bunch of
We are doing
yes. This is gonna. I don't know where that'll be, but Kyle and others will figure that one out.
Maybe we should just do those two.
Just car care and Kyle
Yeah.
and coats of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Coats and
Okay.
coffee, we can also
Here's-
bring the other, like.
Here's the one-
crackers
okay.
and socks.
Coats and coffee is gonna also be a drop off.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
sure, that sounds.
So we're gonna do it more than once,
Okay.
and we're gonna give jackets to this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just, it's all the same thing. We're just giving coats.
I wanted to keep it
Okay.
separate.
So technically, it's
People are really
a lot
confused about what I'm
different.
trying to do with the drop off.
So here's the thing. I get a lot of drop-offs. So care packages are in drop-offs a lot of times, but they're actually different because a care package, like, a drop-off is normally food and sometimes clothing, but mostly food. Where care packages are normally just little items, and that's it. And it's not really a drop-off because it's only like 1 to 2 things. A drop-off is normally like tons of food or like stuff like that. That's where there's the actual difference. There is care packages with the drop-off sometimes, give or take.
So maybe we'll just do coats and coffee, and we won't worry about other things that we
Well,
could
we'll
drop off.
do that, and we'll do the care packages, and then the next.
Okay. So back to this. So the Hennings are in charge of this. Do you need help with the car care supply buying?
It would be, so.
I would love to hear, Raven, you've already talked a little bit about what's helpful in the care packages, but what would be like the perfect care package?
Oh boy.
I'll give you guys his number, and you guys can figure that out
Oh,
together.
yeah.
Okay. So coats and coffee. We have
Kyle.
Kyle. So basically, everybody wanted to help with that, and it sounds like we will.
I didn't know that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kyle and Lisette will be the go-to people, and then everyone else will help, and you guys will get